And it's back with my daily FIFA World Cup podcast, and this is but after the quarterfinals have taken place, so we're down to the final four now, 2 off days of games, so time for me to have a bit of reflection. And in this piece, I've headlined it: England win the World Cup? Question mark. So as I say, we're down to the final four, and these four were my top-ranked teams from early in the tournament. So we have the quality lineup we'd hope for to complete a great World Cup of 2026. But as an Englishman born just 18 days after England's only World Cup triumph of 1966, I, like the rest of my nation, yearn for England to bring it home at least once in my lifetime. With just 2 matches between England and the glorious triumph, the question we're all asking is, can they do it? Well, let's look at their chances of doing so and who are the key factors or will be in finding an answer to that question. Let's start and concentrate on England after I've had a quick drink. So, what percentage chance do they have? Well, they meet their old foe Argentina in the semi-final. For us English, memories of Diego Simeone's antics in getting David Beckham sent off still stick in the craw. Although Beckham was silly to react, this was used by Simeone to get Beckham sent off when it was when he was not at all hurt by a faint flick of the leg, and this should never have been a sending off offence. Beckham had a moment of stupidity. Simeone made a calculated and cunning decision to cheat. And obviously, prior to that, there was another shameful act of outright cheating by Diego Maradona with the infamous hand of God goal. Although I see it as more like the act of a dog. Um, of course, there is no reason to believe England would have won either of those games without those incidents occurring, but the feeling we were cheated still remains and sticks in the gullet of many England fans of my generation. Of course, we have the solace of a teenage Michael Owen ripping the Argentinian defence apart in a group phase win in 1998. But those two knockout losses to Argentina and the circumstances behind them have added to the hurt and pain long hopeful England fans like myself have endured for so long. Add in the animosity between the two nations regarding the Falkland stroke Malvinas, and this is likely to be another spicy affair when they meet in this semi-final. For me, England are marginal favourites against Argentina, and whoever does progress will be the outsiders, certainly against France and probably against Spain in the final. With that in mind, I give England a 21% chance of ending mine and the nation's oh so long wait for a World Cup triumph. Now, excuse me, I've picked out 6 players who need to lead England to the promised land. Well, the first one is pretty obvious: Harry Kane. Kane's reputation as one of the elite goal scorers, if not the elite, has burgeoned since he left Tottenham to join one of Europe's premier teams, Bayern Munich. His record of 98 goals in 94 games for Bayern is an incredible one and has taken his own levels of self-belief and confidence to newfound levels. And on top of that, he's grown into an inspirational leader of this England squad, who have seemingly built a bond not seen in previous, arguably more talented England squads. If England are to succeed against firstly Argentina and then to pass the final test against France or Spain, Kane will figuratively and literally need to lead from the front. Those leadership skills will need to spread his own self-belief to the rest of the squad, and he will certainly need to add to his 6 goals in this tournament for England to win it. Second up, another obvious one, Jude Bellingham. Hey Jude. From apparent 50-50 starter in this team prior to the tournament starting, Bellingham has got back to his elite levels he showed to get his move to Real Madrid. And for such a talented superstar to visibly show he is willing to put all of his physical capability on display to get the team over the line, leaves no room for any less talented member of the squad to do anything less than match those levels of effort and desire. He's quickly developed an understanding with Kane in this tournament that only top level players can develop in such a short span of time. They're working really well as a duo up front, even though Bellingham's playing more as a 10. He, like Kane, will need to continue to strive and add to his 6 goals scored so far in this tournament, whilst finding the very depths of the barrel in terms of his energy levels if England are to get over the final 2 hurdles in this particular race. Third one, Declan Rice. Rice has battled injury throughout this tournament and then been laid low with sickness prior to a quarter-final. He was only able to give 30 minutes of anything near his normal levels of energy and excellence. It was when his levels dropped after that first hydration break from an already reduced capacity than his norm that England conceded and struggled to contain the Norwegians in midfield, prior to their late first half equaliser from Bellingham. Those injuries and illness issues have degraded Rice's performance in this World Cup, but somehow, from somewhere, here's another that needs to go to the bottom of the well to find the energy and athleticism to go with his undoubted quality. If he is to provide the power and influence we have come to expect from him and need to see from him if England are to meet their final two challenges. Sorry, excuse me. Next up is midfield partner Elliot Anderson. Anderson had established himself as a high-quality international player before this tournament started, but as Rice has been below par, Anderson has taken his game to new levels. In the quarter-final, Bellingham may have grabbed the headlines, but Anderson's performance at the heart of the midfield, especially in the second half and extra time, were a huge factor as Bellingham's performance was as huge a factor as Bellingham's performance in getting England over the line in that game. Depending on what Rice's body allows him to deliver from here on in, England may need to see another performance or two of true world-class proportions from Anderson if they're to succeed in lifting this trophy. Fifth of my six is Bukayo Saka. Saka has been nursed through this tournament due to a long-term Achilles issue, and lack of consistent playing time combined with that injury has meant he has only shown flashes of the elite level he has delivered for the past few seasons for club and country. Those flashes show there is more to come, and now is the time for the nursemaiden to stop and for Saka to add to England's world-class attacking options in order for them to compete and beat the best teams in this tournament. He has to start both of the remaining games and put in the performances you know he is capable of to consistently put the opposition on the back foot rather than just show flashes of his incredible talent. The sixth man is Jordan Pickford. Pickford has had a pretty poor tournament to date for him, you have to say, and to such a degree that a conversation may well take place as to who is the first choice goalkeeper for the semi-final if they get there. That would have been pretty much inconceivable prior to the tournament, and it would be a huge call to change goalkeepers at this stage of the tournament. So the likelihood is the conversation will probably be a short one between Thomas Tuchel and his coaching staff, with Pickford continuing to start. If it is Pickford or Dean Henderson for that matter, if they go for a change, but most likely Pickford, then England need the uber-confident Pickford that earned him such a long run as the undoubted England number one, and not the uncertain and error-prone Pickford we've seen so far. He's almost looked anxious, so he needs to get back to his confident self. Right, that's them six. The rest of the squad have a job to do to support them. These six can win the World Cup for England, but they need the rest of the supporting cast to provide the support that will prevent them from failing to do so. Four of Reece James, Ezri Konsa, John Stones, Mark Gahey and Nico O'Reilly are likely to provide the starting defensive unit in the semi and probably final, with Jed Spence and Dan Burns supporting from the bench when required, as they did so well against Mexico and in the quarter-final. Anthony Gordon seems to have got the starting left side role right now, and if Saka starts finding his best form, he or Marcus Rashford needs to both provide the threat down the left and possibly exploit extra room if teams double up on Saka. Noni Madueke, for me, should only be used to replace a tiring Saka late in games from this point forward. Jarell Quansah will serve the second of his two-game ban in the semi, so outside of an injury coming up, he and Trevor Chalobah are unlikely to see game time, but need to be ready if called upon. Morgan Rogers and Eberechi Esse are the attacking midfield options off the bench. Rogers has looked the more dangerous of the two in the tournament so far, and would be front and centre if anything happened to Jude Bellingham. Eze has not had a great tournament, but he is always capable of flashes of brilliance, and England would love to see one or two of them in what remains of the tournament. Ollie Watkins and Ivan Toney have not seen action yet, as Kane and Bellingham have negated any need to look for alternatives. Watkins would be the first call if needed in the remaining game or games, whilst Toney was possibly added to the squad for his record from penalties and for penalty shootouts, so may be limited to be an extra time sub brought on with penalty shootouts in mind. If these two are called upon, England are likely not to be winning at the time, so they would have their chance to have their heroic moment. So let's have a quick look at the other teams. Argentina, we will spend the next we will spend the next couple of days talking about Lionel Messi as we did Erling Haaland before the Norway game. And that is for the reason that great players can win games almost single-handedly with their brilliance. And even at the age of 39, for me, the greatest player in the last 20 years is still capable of doing so. But age wearies all, and Messi's influence does seem to be waning as the tournament progresses, which may mean the likes of Julian Alvarez and Lautaro Martinez need to step up in the latter stage of this tournament. Against England, the midfield battle could be critical as both defences have been vulnerable. But if Argentina are to win this World Cup, it will have to be Messi that provides the inspiration and elite quality for them to do so. So I give them an outsider's chance of the four, 18% chance of winning it all. Moving on to France. France have been the best team in this tournament right from the outset, and I keep trying to find ways they can be beaten. I still think cutting off the supply to their lethal front four is the best way to do so, but no team has even come close to doing that so thus far. I'm developing an opinion that this team is by far the best in the tournament, and only an off day where things conspire against them can see them lose. But every game is an opportunity for that to happen, and they have two left to play against the best of the other teams in this competition. So the room for error or misfortune diminishes. But with France being good favourites to see off Spain and then probably even stronger favourites against England or Argentina, I give them a 40% chance of lifting the trophy on Sunday. And finally, Spain. The Spanish have shown their technical excellence throughout the tournament, but for me have lacked the ruthless cutting edge of France. They are likely to once again have the majority of possession against the French in their semi-final meeting, but will they be able to turn that into goals is the question. If they could and meet England or Argentina in the final, a similar question would once again apply against teams with more scoring power. So unless they find their cutting edge, they're going to struggle to win this World Cup. That and the fact that France stand between them and the final give them the same chance as England for me, 21%. So that's where I see England's chances and the rest of the tournament going into the semi-finals. I'll be back with another piece tomorrow. See you soon.